And our timer is working, everything's done? Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna start you guys off with a situation. So imagine you guys are 18, you're off at war, you're a soldier, you're in the battlefield, and you're 18 years old, and you're risking your life for the country, but yet you can't take a sip of beer. So in 1984, the law was changed due to highway funding. We came up with four main points, which is changing the age will reduce binge drinking by way of supervision. The second point is there are fewer drunk driving traffic accidents in many countries with a minimum drinking age of 18, and lowering the drinking age will promote economic growth. Our fourth one is in 29 states, it is legal for people of 18 and above to drink for religious purposes and under parental supervision.
Body. All right. Changing the age will reduce the amount of binge drinking. So, I mean, if you go to a bar and you're drinking, and you have the bartender can stop you at a certain point. But when you have an age limit, people are like especially college kids, 18 to 20, they're binge drinking. They're not being supervised, and that's where problems arise. That's where people get in trouble. And like if you're in a bar and it's legal, you can be supervised by people. You can make sure that you're not drinking more than 5 drinks. 5 drinks is considered binge drinking. Drinking, this is according to a website called drinkingprosandcons.org. That's actually a thing. Drinking in public areas allows for, according to the National Center of Addiction and Substance Abuse, 17.5% of consumption of alcohol is by underage drinkers. And in the other speech, they said 88% of high school students said they took a drink, but the source I had said 72%. So people are less likely to want to drink if it's legal too. I mean, if it's illegal, people are gonna be like, oh, I'm breaking the law. Oh, when you're young, you want to rebel. It's like when you're younger and like your parents are like, oh, you can't go out. Well, you're gonna go out anyways. But if they're like, oh yeah, you could go out, you're like, I'm just gonna stay in. It's the same principle. There are fewer driving accidents and fatalities in many countries that have a drinking age of 18. Deaths by motor vehicles last year, according to the World Health Organization, 36,000 in the US, 2,175 in the UK, 6,000 in Japan, and 2,075 in Canada. The National Health, the Transportation, and the NHTSA says there are less alcohol-related deaths in 2005 than there was in 1982, when the drinking age was lower. But the thing is that they count pedestrians that are in the car as well, not just the driver. So the driver could have not even been drinking, but they'll count the people who were in the car anyways. There's better enforcement of safety in highways anyways. There's the whole seatbelt thing, the click it or ticket campaigns they have now, and also they have road stops checking for things like that. The highways are better built now, according to Boston University today. And that's your point.
And another point I have is that lowering the drinking age to 18, it will promote economic growth due to the fact that there will be more business as far as in bars and stores, because there will be more people to be able to actually purchase this alcohol at the bars and stores. And as far as jobs, you have to be 21 to be a bottle server and a brewery worker. And if you will lower it to 18, they will be able to have this job. There will be more openings. And as far as bartending jobs, you have to be 18 to do that, but it doesn't make sense that you would be.
New York State.
Oh yeah, in New York State, you can be 18 to be a bartender, and it doesn't make sense that you're able to serve this drink, but you're not able to actually drink this drink. You're around the actual alcohol, but you're not able to consume this alcohol. And also, the revenue would increase for private business owners, and greater amounts of tax revenue will be collected by the government. And in 29 states, it is legal for people 18 and above to drink for religious purposes and under parental supervision. Okay, so if it's in 29 states, like, why don't you make it everywhere? Like, why does it have to just be in 29 states? And it's basically prohibiting some people from practicing cultural and religious activities in a public setting, which is not fair because this is a free country, right? So you should be able to practice your religion and be a part of it and be able to celebrate. And such as holidays such as Cinco de Mayo, El Dia de los Muertos, those are holidays that are actually celebrated with alcohol, with drinking. But if you're 18, you won't be able to, if you're 18, you won't be able to celebrate with your family. And that's basically separating from doing that. And the legal definition of adulthood is 18. So why be considered an adult when you can buy a home, you can get married, you can do all these things, you can buy cigarettes, you can do all these things at 18, but you cannot consume alcohol. You can start a family. Say if your family is stressing you out, like you're a wife at home with your kids, but you cannot sit down and have a beer.
Okay. Okay, so we've got we have the opening now of the Prime Minister, which can include their body if they like, but that's 3 minutes for the opening, 7 minutes for the body, with a short rebuttal is included in that.
I'm going to start with my opening and move to the rebuttal afterward. So, I believe my good friend, Robert Frost, that's a joke, said it best when he wrote more along the lines, 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood, and I will take the one less traveled. Well, American society is today at a crossroads, people, with new technological advances making almost everything that was illegal now legal due to the internet. We have to draw a line somewhere. Cultural shifts in gay marriage and legalization of marijuana reflect society's attitudes on how we feel towards these people. But society knows and has always known the dangers of alcohol. Since the change in the 1980s, raising the drinking age from 18 to 21, we have seen an extreme shift in all the dangers, including societal impacts, the evils of drinking and driving, and all the neurological impacts that affect the brain due to drinking below the age of 18 and above the age of 21. Right? This is not a good substance to have in your body to begin with, and allowing people under the age of 18 whose brains are not fully developed to ingest the substance with a blank check will not have a good impact on our society. Also, since raising the limit in the 1980s, programs like MAD and Every 15 Minutes have programs like MAD and Every 15 Minutes and also ramped up police efforts to stop illegal drinking and illegal drinking and driving have changed our society's attitudes towards the right and wrong of drinking and driving. We know it's an evil. We know that these things, I'll just leave it at, we know that it is an evil. There is no fact-based argument that can change the negative effects of alcohol, and therefore we as a society cannot let emotion dictate the safety of our youngest citizens. And moving on to a small rebuttal, the men and women of our military were not drafted. This is in 1970 and we're not going to war with Vietnam anymore. They chose to represent the laws and rights of this country freely, and one of those laws is the drinking age is at 21. They knew that when they signed up, and it still is true to this day. European influence. We left Europe over 200 years ago to escape European influence. Why are we looking to them as a shining beacon of lowering the drinking age? Economic growth. We are, as a society, going to promote economic growth by preying on our weakest citizens who have A, the lowest income, and B, the lowest amount of education in our society. I don't see how that is a good point. And to buy a home, yeah, if you're rich, you can buy a home at 18, but no bank is gonna give you a mortgage unless you have assets. So yeah, go ahead and try and buy a home right now. It's just not gonna work. Do we have any more rebuttal?
Yeah, should I do my body too?
Yeah, we're gonna go finish the rebuttal and move into the body part.
Okay, for my rebuttal, you mentioned traffic accidents and how it would decrease them, but most traffic accidents happen within the first 2 years of a teenager's life, so like 16 to 18. So if you're lowering the drinking age to 18, then that just makes more accidents. If you're putting alcohol into the equation, then there's just younger kids getting in more accidents, not less. Also, you said something about how it will get rid of the exciting factor for 21 or for 18-year-olds when they are legal to drink. It's not as fun for them. Okay, but then there's 14 to 18-year-olds who are going to be drinking, and then it's more exciting for them. So do we really want that younger generation then drinking? It just doesn't make sense. And also, yeah, like he said, buying a house and stuff like that. You can do all that, but you still can't rent a car at 21. You still can't adopt a child at 21. You can start a family, but you can't adopt a child. Just things like that. You still aren't allowed to do at 21. And moving on to the body, I'm going to talk about how it's harmful to society as a whole. So for one thing, it allows more people to drink in non-safe environments. So a statistic says that 76% of bars will serve to already intoxicated people just to make more money. And 50% of drivers who get a DWI or who are killed as alcohol-involved drivers were drinking at a licensed establishment like a bar or a club. And neighborhoods that have more bars, clubs, and other alcohol-selling establishments have more frequent assaults and other violent crimes. So it's just making everything more dangerous for the community. Also, like I mentioned, it gives high schoolers and middle schoolers easier access to alcohol. The most common source of alcohol among 18 to 20-year-olds right now are their 21 to 24-year-old peers or older siblings. So newly legal drinkers are purchasing alcohol for the 18 to 20-year-old, or even now, I think like middle schoolers, if they have older brothers or sisters, they're buying for them too. So that age is just going to get younger and younger. It's a trickle-down effect, and we're going to have younger generations drinking. And lastly, it invites more use of illicit drugs among 18 to 21-year-olds. So alcohol, it seems weird to say, is a drug. People get addicted to it, and it leads to heavier things. Once you get drunk and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad, you want to try other things and see how that makes you feel. So the younger a person begins to drink alcohol, the more likely it is that they'll use other illicit drugs, and also the number of teens who are drinking, when that increases, the number of teens who are using other drugs are increasing as well.
All right, so drunk driving. It's pretty fun. Don't do it. Very bad. No one should ever have a drink and get behind the wheel and drive a car. The legal age being 21 instead of 18, it saved around 20,000 lives over the past 25 years. Now, according to MAD statistics and a Boston University study, in 1982, there was 26,173 deaths or injuries that happened due to drunk driving. And in 2005, there were 16,885. So that's a lot of people who have not died in that time period. So in 2005, 7,420 teens died or were injured in DUI crashes. And teens make up about a fifth of all alcohol-related crashes in the United States, and only make up about 6% of all licensed drivers. So the statistics don't really add up there, where more teens are dying in crashes than just overall drivers. That's the biggest percentage. Teens are stupid. We all know this. Now, why are we going to want more teens on the road, intoxicated teens driving? That just makes no sense. That baffles me. Now, 21 to 25-year-olds are the most likely to get drunk and go driving. And it kind of makes sense. You can legally drink at 21. Now, all these people have been driving, for the most part, have been driving for 3 to 7 years in the 21 to 25 range. So these people already have experience behind the wheel, which definitely comes into place when you are drunk and you're driving. Now you let an 18-year-old who just got his license, he had to drive with mom and dad 2 weeks before, and now you're letting him get wasted, go out to a bar for his 18th birthday, celebrating his new license that morning. Oh, let me go out with a couple friends, have a few too many. Oh, I need to get home. I need to go see my mom and dad. Well, too bad, you're not going to see your mom and dad anymore because you're going to be dead. Or you're going to be in prison from hitting someone else when you're driving home, and then that family has lost their kid or lost their dad or lost whoever because you got wasted and went and drove somewhere. So underage drinkers are more likely to binge drink. Like I said, you go out for your 18th birthday when you could suddenly legally drink again, or legally drink, and you're gonna get pretty drunk. Like it's your birthday, you're doing all your thing, you're gonna binge drink. And teenagers are more likely to binge drink because we don't know our limits. I don't mean we, I mean teenagers in general. They don't know their limits. So, okay, so do we really need any more wasted teenagers driving around? Like I said, I know I stated it before, but do we really need any more like that? Because lower than the drinking age, it's gonna allow more teenagers who are still in high school to be able to buy booze on their way to school in the morning, and pick up a six-pack, and then on their free period, mid-school day, they're gonna go into the bar and chug a couple of beers with their friends. Something like that, because we all know those stupid teenagers in high school that would do something like that. We all know of a couple at least. So, you know, you see parents every day. They come home. A parent will come home and look at an empty bedroom where their kid once was. Now their son is dead. Their son is in prison maybe because of an alcohol-related drunk driving crash. Now, you have a dad coming home and to an empty bedroom and saying, well, my kid didn't even do anything wrong. He was in the library studying until 1 in the morning for his test the next day. He got hit by a kid who was out partying with his friends. Now that kid is fine, because more people will survive if they're intoxicated in a drunk driving crash than people that are not drunk, because they're a lot more limber. A lot of the stress factors don't take place because you don't even know what's going on when you're drunk. So now you got an innocent kid dead and another kid in prison, which you got to pay for. I'm not even going to get into how much it costs to keep one person in prison for a year. So, that.
Okay, and that's the end of their budget. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now hear the rebuttal of the Prime Minister's team.
Okay, I don't really have much to say, but you said that you're not able to rent a car until you're 21, correct? 25. I don't know where you guys rent cars from, but when I was in Tampa over the spring break, we actually rented a car. And also, a lot of my friends and I rented a car for prom as well, so I don't know where you guys rent your cars from. And you also said that alcohol affects the brain, that it's unhealthy or whatever, but I mean, I'm 18 and I could buy cigarettes, but my uncle just passed away from lung cancer. So, and lung cancer is actually the, leading cause of preventable death, according to CDC.gov. And it also leads to heart disease and many other things. So, I mean, that's legal and it's unhealthy. And you guys also were talking about drunk driving, that more people would get in a car. 18-year-olds would get in a car with alcohol and drive, but actually lowering it to 18 will reduce the number of underage people who are hurt from alcohol-related injuries or accidents due to fear of legal consequences if they sought medical attention. Most people don't go to get medical attention if they're underage because they're scared that they're going to get in trouble for having alcohol in their system. But if it's legal, they won't try to hide to get medical attention because they know that it's legal. They're not going to get any consequence for it. And also, they will have supervision. Like they will know their limit, having supervision to keep them from binge drinking. So that's my
You talked about don't make an emotional decision and why would we follow Europe's example. They're one of our allies, they're one of our trade partners. I mean, you want to try to take the best of everybody and try to make the best society that we have. Honestly, with lowering the age to 18. The key, I mean, regardless of what age it is, underage, there'll be underage drinking regardless. The whole key is responsibility, and it's up to the people around us to make sure that we don't go crazy with alcohol. We don't have, when it comes to teenagers, that we don't binge drinking. It's just about responsibility.
Okay, let's complete rebuttal then. And we move on to the rebuttal and the closing arguments of the opposition.
So I just want to rebut a couple topics here. Now, you said the 25 rent a car. You said you were able to rent a car. Was anyone in the group 25 or over?
No.
All right, you probably did something illegal.
No.
I work for Allstate Insurance. I work for Allstate Insurance Group, and I had to sign a lot of policies for people who, and included companies, which were rent-a-car companies, and Allstate Insurance Group across the U.S., State Farm, and a couple other companies I can't even remember, but they all require 25. It's not the company itself that requires 25. It's the insurance company that requires the company to have people being 25. Because if you crash that car, you need to have assets behind you to back that, and you need to have some way to pay that. People who are not 25 normally can't pay that. So that's why it's all under the insurance company's standards. And for the economic stimulation, that is not really true that the 18-year-olds are going to provide more to the economy, because going into economic theory here, I'm not sure how many are economics majors, but the most prevalent theory, the marginal propensity to consume, is if you have money, you're gonna spend 95% of it you're gonna spend, and 5% you're gonna save. So, for most people, the rational thinkers. So, if you are spending your alcohol, if these 18-year-olds are gonna go spend their money, are not gonna spend their money on alcohol, they're gonna spend it on something else that they're gonna buy. Marijuana, maybe. Or just whatever else they're gonna buy. But it's not gonna provide any more stimulation, because it's either they're gonna be buying option A or option B. They're not gonna be like, oh, well, no alcohol, save my money. Or they're not gonna go out and spend their money on alcohol, then they're just not gonna spend on something else. Or they'll just go spend on late night monkey food or something like that. That's the bottom line.
So to wrap up our entire debate, the societal impacts, underage drinking will increase due to the availability. Our drinking and driving impacts, they will explode through the roof if we just give a blank check to 18-year-olds to go ahead and drink. And I didn't really get to it, but our neurological impacts, the extreme shrinkage of the brain due to alcohol consumption, the lower response time due to alcohol consumption, and the brain not being fully developed until the age of 25 are all reasons to not allow, and these statistics are based on the 21-year drinking age. So if we lower that, imagine the response time that we will have if we're allowed to drink at the age of 18. It goes from minus 0.4 seconds to minus 0.8 seconds if we just blanket double that. And our society has a need to keep our children safe, and as we have demonstrated, lowering the drinking age will do the exact opposite. Thank you.
Closing statement, logical. If you can do something, if more people can do something, more people will do something. Lower the drinking age, more people are going to drink, more people are going to drunk drive. Just logic.
Okay, thank you. We have one final section, and that is the opportunity for the Prime Minister to give any final rebuttal and their conclusion, a 3-minute section.
Lowering the age, the drinking age to 18, it will make it'll help have a smoother college environment. Say if you're 21 years old and you're around underage people and you're drinking, even if the underage people are not drinking, you are held accountable. And there are parties where there are underage people and they're 21-year-old people trying to drink, and if the police were to come in and they would see that there's underage people there, you will get in trouble. So that would keep that from happening.
in conclusion, changing the age will reduce the amount of binge drinking, so people will be less likely to drink because it wouldn't be like breaking the law. There are fewer drunk driving accidents in the country, where the minimum drinking age is 18. Like we said, there are actually cars now that automatically brake, like when you're too close to another car, or if you're then lowering the drinking age will promote economic growth, and like we said, we will have more jobs for 18-year-olds who can actually work in like bartending and stuff like that. And with 18, you're allowed to do all these things. You're even allowed to be a porn star. Like, why can't you just drink? So being that I am from a Hispanic background, alcohol has been a really big part of my family. So being that I am underage, I can't participate in a lot of family functions because I'm not allowed to drink. So I believe that the age should be lower.
Okay, is that the end? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay in your seats. We are going to have our vote here.